Welcome to Shine Together, a podcast where Edmonton's brightest minds come together to share ideas, collaborate, and inspire. What makes a city great is its people, and this podcast is all about bringing them together. So let's dive into meaningful conversations and make our city shine greater together.
All right. Well, hello, gentlemen. I'm Dr. Omar Mohammad, and I'm running for mayor in the next municipal election here in Edmonton, Alberta. So welcome to Shine Together, an Edmonton podcast where one expert takes the host chair and another expert takes the guest chair. And I get the honor, privilege of witnessing, listening, learning, and growing alongside it, both of you. Our guest today is someone who knows a thing or two about keeping people moving, whether it's through chiropractic care, acupuncture, or a well-placed dry needling session. And trust me, I can vouch for this, and I can attest that he's Dr. Peter Shipka here must be very good at darts, because if it's any indication of where he puts his dry needles,
precision.
He's the guy that I'm going to be calling for darts. But Dr. Peter Shipka has been a leader in chiropractic care for over 30 years. He practices full-time in St. Albert while also serving in key roles that help shape the profession. He's currently on the CMCC Board of Governors and the Chiropractic Association of Alberta Board of Governors. He's been a chiropractic representative to the Alberta government and has an extensive background in medical acupuncture and research. He's always looking for ways to advance patient care. When he's not helping people recover or advocating for the profession, you'll probably find him outdoors skiing, hiking, or camping. Please welcome to the show someone who always makes me feel better each and every time I see him, Dr. Peter Shipka.
Thank you for that kind intro.
Thank you. And our host today is not just a healer. He's an advocate for taking charge of your own health. Born and raised in Edmonton, Dr. Ramadan Hochaimi knows the power of mentorship and now pays it forward, guiding others on their wellness journey. A chiropractor since 2005, he's trained in a range of therapies from active release technique to advanced inflammation testing, always embracing a multidisciplinary approach. Whether it's spinal adjustments, soft tissue therapy, patient education, or even breathing techniques, his focus is on helping people move, feel, and live better. Beyond the clinic, he's a dedicated husband and father of 5. He beats me by 1, as well as one of my hiking partners. And in fact, we've logged over 150 kilometers together last year. I believe that was
amazing.
Yeah, that was quite a bit. But he's also an incredibly positive person. He's the kind of guy who also always makes me feel better every time I see him, and he knows how to light up a room. I'm thrilled to welcome my good friend, colleague, brother, and life coach, Dr. Ramadan Hochaimi, to the show.
Thank you.
Ramadan, welcome. The show is yours.
I'm humbled by your kindness, and your energy is like no other. So, I mean, look at the room we're in.
Yeah,
look at the energy in here, right? You made that happen. And this is what the future mayor of Edmonton is going to do. Bring people together.
Absolutely. Give them a chance.
Them up.
Yeah.
Right. I'm grateful, first of all, to have this opportunity and just be among you creative minds. I thank you to RJ for setting this beautiful place up.
And the privilege is all mine. 2 guys in the same room that always make me feel better every time I see them.
That.
So this will be quite the show. I can't wait.
So some of the listeners are probably thinking, how did we 3 get to be on this? So funny thing, ran into you at the Alberta Chiropractic Association dinner.
We did. It was a event to try to give an update. It was a town hall to give an update about what we're doing with the association and all the exciting changes we're bringing. And just by fate, we started talking. Yeah. And lo and behold, we exchanged numbers and got in touch with each other. Unbeknownst that we both knew Omar, and we had the opportunity to get together and share our passion about healthcare and helping people, and it's been wonderful.
And it wasn't an accident, because when I walk into a room where I knew about 3 people in that room, there was what 50?
Oh, at least
50. I knew about 3 people, but there was something about you. You let out an energy, the way you were talking to some people, the way they were drawn to what you were saying. I just kind of started inching forward. Oh. Like, I got to listen to what he's saying.
You're very kind.
And when you told me how many years you've been in practice, I said, I got to learn. I got to learn from this gentleman.
Kind.
And it's
we
cool
owe a lot.
It's so cool that you guys got to meet each other before I introduce you here on the show
Right.
by just a couple
Absolutely.
weeks, which is
I don't believe in
amazing.
accidents. Only
And I don't
happy
believe in
coincidence.
accidents myself. So yeah,
Only happy coincidences,
Very amazing
right?
to hear that. Had you been on the previous podcast, you wouldn't have met yet. But anyway,
That's
true.
That's right. So I was asking him some questions about the future of the profession, and so much hope. He gave me so much hope, and kind of gave you that sense of security in terms of keep doing what you love, keep leaning into it, and amazing things are going to happen. Because when the attention is right, everything else will fall into place. So
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask Dr. Shipka, what allows you to hit 30 years of practice and still having that energy to show up for your patients, your clients, or people who need your service?
It's grounded in a root of passion to try to leave the campsite better than you found it. Being a hiker, it's the same way. You find garbage on the trail, you try to pick it up. As a healthcare provider, always trying to improve your game to help those people who you may not have the skill yet to help, and to have the curiosity that got us into the healing profession on how we could help people. And with that passion just has led me in so many different routes over the years, whether living in Japan and studying with the academic head of our MIT in Tokyo, or my work with the Canadian Chiropractic Research Foundation, or with the association. It's just been a tremendous journey of curiosity and adventure. And after 30 years, I still love coming into work. I love helping people. And it's the most rewarding job I could ever have. It's just
amazing.
the best.
That's beautifully put.
How about for yourself?
For me, I had to recalibrate my intentions over the years of how I practiced. Yeah, you start off out of school, got a little bit of debt, you got this pressure from family or your community or maybe other chiropractors, like, hey man, you learned all this, you got to start applying it, and you got to make something out of it. And if you're working out of desperation to just meet the bills and to pay off the mortgage and all these numbers and things, it takes away a lot from how you want to practice, right?
Absolutely.
It takes away a little bit of the why.
And
right?
the joy. And the joy of practicing, right?
So over the years, I had to reinvent myself and just change, why do I do this, right? And I ask myself on a daily basis, and I make a prayer every morning before I go to work. Let me have a meaningful conversation with at least one patient today.
I find that hard to believe. I think you'd have several meaningful conversations.
It does end up being that way, because I think priming myself just to get to work and looking for some cues, maybe that the patient, maybe leaving some hints that there are some other areas that we need to kind of touch on.
Yeah.
I mean, they come in for the adjustment, they come in for movement. We always joke, motion is lotion. Let's get all this.
I used that
taken
joke
care of.
earlier today. Actually, I think I used your joke, Ramadan.
Actually, and I didn't come up with that. I have a patient. He's in his 70s and he travels a lot. He jumps in an RV and he just heads down to Florida for 6 months, and then he tours a little bit in the U.S. And he always said that to me. And he always came in for an adjustment on this one specific area in his body. He's like, I just need this moved because I'm driving a lot. And then after we're done, I say, how do you feel? He's like, motion is lotion. And that was it. And I use it on all of my patients. I ask them, hey, why do you move? Like, what do you get out of it? What feeling do you get out of it? We've even changed how we prescribe certain exercises for rehabilitation. I don't like to call it exercise because I feel that it's been hijacked a little. And people associate exercise with effort or something taken away from them, their time, because they say, I don't have time to do that.
Work is a
I
good
don't
way
have
to
time
put
to do that. But I changed, I call it joyful movement, because joyful movement can be so many different things. It could be exercise. It could be a meditative stance. It could be dancing
across the bridge, right?
Dancing across the bridge. We're going to talk about that.
Are we now?
We're going to get to that. That one's going to come up.
Is it going to come up in the show? Me and Ramadan,
I can't wait
my
to
hiking
hear.
partner, we never. I'll just bring it up right now. We will not cross the bridge. Ramadan's rule here: we cannot cross the bridge hiking. If somebody put all that effort into making that bridge, we will at least have to dance across the bridge. So all you listeners, if you're a big hiker, Ray's rule. We'll call it Ray's rule. You must dance across that bridge. It'll bring joy, motion, and lotion to dancing across the bridge.
I appreciate that.
There you go. Let's
Yeah,
get
I'm
to
going
the
to steal it
point.
for my own now. I love it.
It definitely added a touch of of humor to our hikes. I mean, because we can get deep. We talk about all sorts of things. We talk about the community, an intentional community. We talk about spirituality. We talk about how to give back and what are we here for? What is our purpose? Right. So I've even when Dr. Shipka worked on me. So what happened after we met at the association assembly or little dinner there? I was just intrigued, and I said, at 30, how many years?
30 years this year, 29 years in St. Albert.
29 years in St. Albert alone in that one location?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Within about a mile of each other. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, most people get to the 15-year mark and they start and think of a way out, not because of they're financially comfortable. It's mostly burnout.
Yeah.
There's a lot of burnout in our
burnout.
profession.
Yeah.
Right? It's
There's
because
burnout in many professions, just in
Yeah.
general. But yeah, it's interesting to hear that you guys are both chiropractors, but you practice very, very differently. I see you guys for different reasons. You both make me feel good. Okay, in myself, in my profession, pediatric dentist, a lot of burnout. Dentists have a lot of burnout. It tends to be around the 10 to 15 mark as well. I mean, what advice would you give to Edmontonians that we're working harder than we ever have before? We've got families working. Used to be one family member working 40 hours a week could sustain and raise a family. Now we're finding that, families are working 60, 80 hours a week, and they're still not having that time. What advice would you guys give out to maybe combat that burnout, to our listeners, and maybe being able to, have a little bit more longevity, especially 30 years in the profession.
Yeah.
Wow, and can still play darts like there's no tomorrow.
Well, next time we'll get the blow darts out and see if
Oh
you
my
can
goodness,
outrun them.
the blow darts. That's the next skill.
But that's a good question. I think I think the challenge is trying to make the time like you two have to take time to really gravitate towards what's real and what's important. A lot of times we get caught up in our careers, trying to advance the careers or get to a stage where we want more money or a bigger house to satisfy us. And as Ray, if I can call you Ray, Ramadan said, he talked about, being content with what you have and joyous of what you have and escaping that cycle that so many people get into, trying to chase the next big thing or keeping up with the Joneses, instead being joyful about life in every moment. So I wanted to share, yesterday we had a chance to have coffee, Ramadan and I, and he was like, Pete, just give me a second. I'm watching my son's game. And he was telling me all about the game and how excited he was. And I was just thinking, this is so beautiful, because 30 to 40 years ago, a lot of fathers weren't as engaged in their children's activities. And for me, having seen lots of families in St. Albert where they're pursuing financial or other types of achievements, to see a family that's integrated around watching their children's achievements and celebrating with that, and then having his son call afterwards, right after the game, just to say, what's going on? Are you coming home?
Right.
To me, that was wonderful. That shows me that's the community that we want to build and that dream. So I'd say you just got to remember, at the end of the day, the monopoly money goes back in the box, but what really matters is the time and what we do with it when we're here.
Time, yeah. I would agree with that statement. Very good. Well, that was my
Amazing.
question. Dr. Shipka, 30 years in the business.
Yeah.
Wow.
See why we had to have him here?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
You're too kind.
I have the same question with my younger population. I see a lot of teenagers or university students, and I kind of tend to poke around a little too much sometimes. Like, what are you doing? But then, why are you doing it? And you'd be surprised how many people are doing something for a reason that's not really sustainable, but it's planted. That seed was planted from whatever paradigm they grew up with, whether it's financial or whether it's about status, but it's definitely not sustainable. I mean, I asked a patient once, what do you want to go into? And he said, dentistry. Okay, great. Why?
Because of money?
Well, yeah. And first he couldn't even answer that, but then afterwards, and it didn't even say money, but I think his response, it really triggered something. I wanted to really work with him a little further, because I knew that there's someone in there that wants to do it for better reasons.
Right.
But he hasn't let that person be expressed yet, right? He's just kind of playing in this box of safety, and it was financial. And his comment was, my dentist drives a sick car.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So,
It was outcome, not journey.
Yeah.
right?
All right.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Whereas, you know, if your why is like, I talked to Omar, and one of the things on our hikes, I asked him, I'm like, he tells me about some of these surgical procedures he does, and when there's no coverage and there's money lost, because he said, I don't care. I want to get somebody out of pain.
Yep.
Now that's a strong why.
Absolutely.
Getting somebody out of pain.
And
you
that's for yourself, I imagine, and myself, when we went into being a doctor, it wasn't because we wanted to make large buckets of cash. At least it wasn't for me, but it was to help people feel and be better, right? Because that's the best. It's the best satisfaction you'll ever get.
I can say, yeah, absolutely. No, that's very interesting that we all maybe share that sentiment, because if I have to look at myself being in a career, I've been a dentist since 2009. The one thing, you know, the top thing, I shouldn't say the one thing, but the top thing that actually gets me going, the most satisfaction I get out of my job to this date, would be the fact that I have the ability and the privilege of getting somebody else out of pain. It's such a rewarding exchange of energy. So that's great that I can share that with you guys. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you hit my heart. I was just gonna say my favorite fee I ever collected, and I didn't even collect it. I didn't ask for it. Was I was working, going through my student rotation in East LA, because I went to school in Los Angeles College of Chiropractic, and we used to have to work at the Salvation Army. And I had a homeless man kiss my hand to thank me for helping him with his back pain. He was so excited not to have that pain, and that was the best fee I ever collected. I didn't even ask for it. It's the best.
Yeah, amazing. Very
It ties into the leave them better than when you found them.
Absolutely.
Right? Always leave an interaction with a sense of increase. Right?
Absolutely.
And I think if we constantly leave something there of value, there's going to be little pockets of value all around the community, and it's just going to snowball into wellness circles, and it's going to create intentional community. Because when you only take from the field,
Absolutely.
you're going to run out of things to take. And we know what parasites do.
Yep.
Right? They'll just keep taking until they destroy the host, and they destroy themselves in the process, because it's a short game, right? Whereas if we can realize that we are stronger together. I mean, the podcast here is shine brighter together.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Right? And we're talking about light. We're talking about community. We're talking about unity, empowerment. All those things are just in that shine brighter together.
Absolutely.
That's right. Together is so
You heard the saying,
necessary.
if you wanted to travel fast, you travel alone. If you want to travel far, you travel together. Right? And there's so much learning. And the failures along the way, I don't like to call them failures, they're just so rich in data. And you're just harvesting so much data of what to do in the next step that you can just perfect your skill set along the way. You have to fall, and you have to fail a little, and you have to have some hardship, because that's going to build the best product on the other end.
Absolutely.
Right?
I don't know if with your kids, but there was a movie done by Disney called Meet the Robinsons, and there was an inventor, and he was doing this, and it didn't turn out the way they wanted, and they all celebrated. Yes, we now learned how not to do that.
Right.
So it's kind of like that, and that's the one thing Mark Twain used to say was that everyone will take credit for your successes, but no one will take credit for your failures. They're truly your own. So a lot of times I've realized over my careers, when I've had those growth opportunities, instead of being frustrated by them or disappointed by them, embracing them and trying to take what we can from them and learn. And that's where, with both of you, skilled doctors, I really feel that, like with Omar and your run for office, I couldn't think of anyone better to take us up to the next stage because of all the experience you've had in your multiple careers. I remember first time we met, you told me about being a mechanic.
That's right, yeah.
And working on your Volkswagen thing. And I was
correct.
like, oh, he's so cool. And I went home and I was telling my wife, I just said, I met this really cool doctor and he's got a Volkswagen thing. And she looked at me like, what the hell are you talking about? But it was amazing. But that's one of the things I like is the diversity of experience and the knowledge you bring. So as a supporter of you, I'd love to see you bring that forward and keep that momentum to shine it with others.
And we're still working on the Volkswagen thing. I'm looking for somebody to help me put it together. So any listeners, contact me. All the body work's done, just got to get put together. It needs about 100 hours work. We're almost there, but that's a very good memory. Was about 3 years ago we started.
Oh, I think it's longer than that. It might be pre-COVID.
Might be pre-COVID, man. My goodness, time
could
flies.
be, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's amazing, I go hiking a lot with Ramadan. Like I said, you guys are both guys that always make me feel better. I'm feeling really good right now. Me and Ramadan, we go hiking lots, and we dance across bridges, and we also sing a lot.
No, really?
Me and Ramadan sing, and
I listen more than I sing.
To be honest,
I
I'm
got
more
a
of a
rasp
singer.
that I
Are
can't
you?
shake off.
And to be honest, you guys have put me in the mood to sing right now. You know what? In the spirit of shining brighter together and stuff. Yo, RJ, where's your studio at, man? I'm gonna go hit up a song right now. You guys wait right
Okay.
here.
And this is what I love. And this is the spontaneity, and this is the energy that this city needs.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Get it done.
Yeah.
Just get up and do it. Do epic shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. Do epic shit.
All right, let's drop a beat. Yeah. Thanks, RJ.
It's time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. It's time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. It's love that I possess. I can say that I've been blessed. I'm not a Russell nor a poet. I'm a liberal good professor. So undo your time in your sleepy thinking head. Cause I'm elevating brains and you think that I'm insane. I'm elevating facts until we axe attacks. Cause the knowledge I've been given ain't not just for bureaucrats, but before the people, you inevitably people and city council. I'm the one that's gonna teach you. It's time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. Time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. Yo, time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. Time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Lyrical professions, I'm an expert at the subject. Like an archaeologist, I find things that have been done yet. Expressing myself, being vague when I do it. Like a speaker of poetry, my rhymes feel a flowing. Never been a counselor, but I really care. I say, give me the mic, yo, I'm gonna run from there. Because people in the tents, yo, and kids on the street with lineups at the food bank and not enough to eat.
5,000 active homeless in our street is unacceptable. We know better, so let's do better.
Yeah, city full of energy like an electric socket. So let's come together and take off like a rocket. So what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do about it? I'm gonna scream at the top of lungs, gonna scream and shout it. It's time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Put our love forward and all shine forever. Sun shining bright in all kinds of weather. And everyone can thrive regardless of whatever.
It's time to shine, Edmonton. Let's shine brighter together. The time has come. The time is now. It's time. It's time to shine.
It's time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. Time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. What? Time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. Time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together.
Can't wait to hear the song.
Very good, yeah. You guys
That was
inspired me.
quick.
All right.
So I was talking to Dr. Pete about when I came in to see him. I had some soccer-related injuries and just a calf tightness, maybe some dehydration, maybe playing too much, not stretching enough. And he educated me so much on fascia and movement and the whole kinetic chain. And I do the same with my patients. But his approach was just a fresh perspective, and I was just on every word. Like, he started from my toe all the way to the low back on one area, then moved here, moved there. By the time I was done, I don't know if I told you, I played 5 games in 7 days that week. This is not too long ago.
Don't try this at home, listeners.
That's a lot of soccer. That's a lot of
Your
soccer.
twinkle toes. I
But
think that's
felt
the
so
nickname.
good. I felt so good. I recovered faster. A lot of it was I believed in what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I think that put my body in a state of healing.
Yeah.
And it was just in receiving every
You
possibility.
actually called me on this. Remember, you're like, man, I played like a 20-year-old. Is how you
I
said
played
it.
against some 20-year-olds.
And you played against, and you were
We didn't
schooling
win
these
that game.
20-year-olds
Thanks
as
for
well.
inviting me to that game. He knows who he is. But we didn't win that game. But just to get the opportunity, I'm 46, and these 20-year-olds are fast. But the guy said, "Listen, I just need you. You have some experience, smart. Just play this position and let these kids do their thing." It was fun, and like I said, 5 games later, I called him back. I'm like, now I want another dose.
Now you're addicted to Shipka.
No, on another
Now we're
dose.
addicted to Shipka. You know, and I was thinking about doing this podcast, and now, you know, Dr. Shipka's here now. He's probably going to get busy, but he's got to please hold my appointments. If
Always.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
always got room.
Very good.
You guys are like Jell-O. I've always got room for Jell-O.
But guess what? Down the road, Dr. Shipka has told me, listen, you need to take this course. You need to start needling. You need to start acupuncture because there's just so much more you can do going down the road, because our job is physical, right? It's mentally draining as well. It's physical. But you always got to get a recharge. You got to get topped up somewhere.
That's right.
Maybe we go see another chiropractor. Maybe we get together like this, and then this, you know, fuels
Or
the
go
purpose
hiking,
again.
whatever gives you
Yeah.
that passion to rebuild.
Yeah.
Or
So
go hiking,
yesterday, even over coffee, he said, you're going to work until you're 80. I mean, if I'm doing anything till I'm 80, it's definitely not work. But
But
the seed he's planting is if you do it and you love it, you'll do it as long as you can, and it'll never feel like work.
It's not work, and it's funny you bring
Because
that
I
up,
love
because
it.
you know, Ramadan, I'll tell you, and maybe this is another, hopefully a compliment to my boy here. But people often ask me, so, you know, I'm a pediatric dentist, father of 4, I'm a ring announcer, I'm an auctioneer, I'm running for mayor of Edmonton, and I get the question like, man, you're a busy dude, and you know, do I have the energy? You're right. And you know what it is by surrounding myself with people like you guys, you know, and Ray, that's what I call
Likewise,
you know,
appreciate it.
as a life coach. We do hiking, and we're due for a hike. The season's upon us. But, you know, I'm a big advocate, again, for hiking and getting outdoors and being a part of it. And Edmonton has a great river valley.
Amazing.
An amazing river valley. And we've
does.
hiked a lot on the river valley. Me and you, we like to go to Elk Island. We've gotten onto the boonies. I mean, could you give advice to both of you guys to you know, Edmontonians and surroundings? There's a lot of nice trails in St. Albert and in Edmonton. You know, could you give some advice just to generally to people working really hard, and maybe how they can access these trails, and, you know, maybe starting out for the first time, like what they should do?
When I realize a patient is just kind of stuck in a rut, and he's just on repeat, and he's just living in his old memories, we kind of, let's take it back a second. Right. Let's go to the first time you felt this way. Like, when did you feel stuck? And as he's describing the scenario or a time or trying to remember, he stops breathing. He's like, whoa, you know what? I need you to breathe. Because as you're breathing, you're just opening up some possibilities, some different areas of the brain, maybe sending blood flow to different parts, just to maybe trigger possibilities to solve those problems, or to take them on, because we have this fear of taking on the unknown, because it's a lack of maybe security, because we get comfortable. We get comfortable and we plateau. And it's a dying phase. Even though it's a plateau, it's a dying phase, because everything else around you is growing, right? Like how high does a tree get? As high as it can.
Yeah.
How deep do the roots go? As deep as they can. But humans have a way of living this limiting belief and buying into this notion that this is all I can do, or this is all I should be doing.
Interesting.
And nature has a way of recalibrating that intention and tapping into that source and making everything else seem less important, and dialing into what nature can do. There's so many lessons. There's no better teacher than nature.
I'll have to say that, and it comes natural, just personal experience. You know, when you're in a rut and you're working hard, being in an urban environment for so long, disconnect. Going in a place where there's just harmony of nature. Call it the harmony of nature, where everything's in balance. You naturally will kind of move into that direction. Just like if you surround yourself with a whole bunch of bad people, you'll move into that direction. We all hear this. Yeah. But I think nature and environment can do this as well. So, you know, being in a city and hustle and bustle, working super hard, you know, that's what I see. And that's why I've done, you know, a lot of hiking last year. You guys are all hikers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, I've had conversations with both of you regarding hiking, and I feel like you guys kind of get it, that harmony.
I think any person in Edmonton is probably within a 10-minute drive, maybe less, just to a nice patch of green somewhere.
Absolutely.
So we all have access.
Right.
But imagine a single mom of 4 kids. She's stressed, maybe some financial issues, coming in with back pain. But then you realize that back pain had nothing to do with, you know, a position, or, you know, how you sit or how you move or what you were lifting. But there was so much blockage. There was so much. Somebody had robbed this person of their potential, right? And just put them in that little box. And I try to teach them, okay, let's learn how to breathe, because I want to shift your nervous system to see what's possible. And the first thing you hear is, I don't have time. And if somebody
right.
tells you, I
Very
don't have time to
common.
breathe. Now you breathe on average 20 to 23,000 times a day. I just told her I can show you how to do it a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's it. And not
You're
because
doing
I
it
know
anyway.
more, because I tried it and it actually worked.
Yeah.
Right?
But you're reconnecting that primitive brain,
Yeah.
because a lot of times when we're stressed, our prefrontal cortex shuts off.
Yeah.
And what happens is we go on that automatic, like you said, stuck in that rut.
Yeah.
And by you teaching the breathing, you're reconnecting with your body and your brain together, getting them to go. The other thing about being out in nature, like you said, we're 5 minutes away from 5 to 10 minutes in St. Albert and in Edmonton, is that it also reminds you you're part of a bigger world, a bigger
Absolutely.
community. And oftentimes we're stuck in our cubicles or in our offices or in our homes and with the day-to-day. But when you go out and you see the birds and you see the trees, or you breathe in the fresh air on a winter day, or you get caught in a shower on a summer day, you get to experience the world around you. You interact with all your senses. It makes you feel alive again, like you said.
Amazing.
Wow, amazing.
Well
Amazing.
put.
What a well put.
How has he not hiked with us yet?
I know. We're
I
going
want to
hiking.
go. That's
You're
it.
coming.
You know, the weather's here. You guys bring your hiking shoes today. We'll hike in that jacket. Me and you are matching. We got the same gear.
I'm ready to go.
Ready to go.
So you talked about the river valley.
I do,
right?
yeah. I love the river valley.
So I bike it.
Yeah.
I've walked it, jogged it.
Yeah.
But I prefer biking it. I love.
I know you're a
love
big
cycling.
biker.
I can
Yeah.
cover a lot of kilometers and just see a little bit more.
Right.
But our river valley has some challenges too.
Yeah.
Right. Not just
Like what?
maintenance. I mean, there are a lot of homeless, a lot of homeless people like tucked in different areas, and it's not like, oh my God, why are they there? This is my path. No, it's no, it's wrong. We shouldn't be desensitized and just bike right past somebody who looks like he could be, one meal away from going to the hospital, right?
Absolutely.
The lack of.
Right.
is,
And you see that even on the River Valley Trails. And this comes up with a lot of podcasts. You guys haven't been on them, but I keep bringing it up. We got 5,000 plus active homeless surrounding Edmonton. It's one of the reasons I'm running, and it's like an indicator that we're not doing things right. And I brought it up on another podcast.
Yeah.
47,000 people using the food bank, and I know St. Albert is going up
The
as
same.
well.
Yeah.
So, even in the River Valley Trails where you're out with nature, people are making do, and that becomes a shelter for many people. That's amazing that you see that. It's something I'm really advocating for, like to really help the vulnerable here in the community. And, we're seeing it in all walks. But Ramadan, if I was to be homeless, which I have been at some periods in my life, I probably would want to set up, a spot in the River Valley. And, I want to meet that guy that made he had electricity in his house. You know what I'm talking
Generator
about?
and
He had a
everything?
generator. He had a water pump, and they shut him down. I want to meet that guy, and I want to say, what do you need? Because at anything you're doing, that guy was thinking outside of the box. He was thriving,
Absolutely.
in whatever environment that he had. That's a survivor to me, and I want to pick that guy's brain because that's an expert in its own right. But it's interesting that you mentioned that as you bike down the River Valley Trails, because I've been seeing that there, and I've been seeing that everywhere around Edmonton, and that's a big indicator that we're not doing things right.
One of my concerns with the future generation, the younger population, are less and less resourceful because we're dependent on one source of knowledge, one source of food, one source of anything, right? And if that source gets hijacked or the taps run out, what does that person do?
That's
right.
right.
They're just
They
sitting there.
don't. They don't have the
skill set.
the skill set or the resources to be able to figure out how to navigate without that one. Just like the iPhones, you take away the phones, and a lot of times they don't have. My daughter didn't even know how to read a map, and that's because she grew up with technology. Where you and I, all three of us, grew up being able to read maps and navigate.
And that being said, what I see a Pac-Man
I got my
socks.
Pac-Man.
Yeah,
Very
I've got
nice
the
Pac-Man
Time to
socks.
Shine Brighter Together socks. Go for Omar. Made by,
love it.
by
Gotta
Jazz
thank my
Jacobson.
wife.
Thank you very much.
Way to go, Jazz!
It was between this and the Elmo socks.
And the Elmo. I'm
and
glad
she
you
told
picked
me
Pac-Man.
wear the Pac-Man. And this is what her follow-up comment was. They'll know your age.
I think if we brought up MacGyver, then everybody would know our age. Because we all know who MacGyver is. But Ramadan, back on the bikings, you're a big biker. I like to bike. We all here love the outdoors.
Yeah.
Okay? And, bike paths is a big topic of discussion.
Bike lanes,
Okay?
yeah.
And I know you love to bike. Okay?
I love to cycle, yeah.
I love to bike too. You take the cake. I'm not sure. But
and I do it in
you're-
St. Albert. I bike in the winter.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there you go.
So both of you guys use these trails. Now you see homeless, you see all that. Now, there's areas like downtown, River Valley, White Ave, where there's a high usage, right?
Yeah.
But then, we're sprawling it out a bit here. So this is the topic of discussion here running for mayor. You got areas where there's less than 1% usage. And I'll call you guys the 1%ers and maybe me the half percenter because sometimes I do it. What are your thoughts of that costing the city of Edmonton $300 million is what the plan is up until 2026. I know what my viewpoint is on this. And, do you think that this is a time where we should be spending that money on bike lanes? Or do you think this is a time maybe we should consider the fact that we have a lot of vulnerable populations and maybe we should be not doing that at this time? What's your take on that being a big biker?
As much as I love being outdoors and these bike lanes, they definitely help get from point A to point B. I live in the north side and there's one, I take a path down 127, but there's no bike lane and the road is just mangled. The sidewalk's bad. There's even pieces of metal sticking out like from old stop signs or whatever and just sawed right off and they look sharp. And I have to take that road all the time. And yes, first thing I was like, this needs a bike lane. But then I see all the people who are sitting in the bus stops. I'm like, no. We need to take care of these guys before putting a bike lane here. I'll benefit from the bike lane here, but they're still going to be sitting in that little bus stop kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Right?
Too. Priorities. It's,
priorities.
What are the priorities here? And it's like, I always use this analogy that we don't, fix the carpet when the roof is leaking. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here in the city. Like we're spending money on a lot of infrastructure projects when people are actually suffering around us, right? So I just wanted your viewpoint on that, and Dr. Shipka, I can see by your
I totally agree. I think, and I'm a little bit more selfish as a doctor. I'd much rather the way I see is an ounce of cure is better than a pound of. Sorry, I said that backwards. You know what I'm trying to say there. With an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
Yes.
Where we have an opportunity to stop, like we're talking about back pain. If you're sitting in a cold bus stop or you're homeless, I used to work at the homeless shelter in downtown Edmonton for a short period of time, and my experience there was that if we could have more resources that are more dedicated in a better way than using them towards bus lanes that the 1% use, I would be totally, supportive of it because it helps us keep people moving. It helps keep people healthy. If people are healthy, they're more productive. When they're more productive, we have a better society and everyone benefits.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Not just the privileged.
And for me in particularly, I see seniors on a fixed income.
Yep.
Right. And I don't see a lot of seniors using bike lanes. And, selfishly, I'd love bike lanes, I used to bike to the university all the time. Ramadan always wants to get me biking like every time, but I convince him to go hiking. But, for me, it's just like I'm willing to forego bike lanes for the time being so that seniors can afford maybe a little bit more groceries. And that's really what it comes down to me, because I think that ultimately is the net result, because we have an increase in property taxes when we start spending money on these things, especially when we're talking the hundreds of millions of dollars. They do make a difference for somebody's groceries. For me or you, and you guys, we're all active workers right now. We're all working 30 years in the business. You're going to keep saying it, but we're all active working. But once we retire and we want to retire, I don't think that would be fair that we're now paying for things and maybe suffering in terms of groceries and healthy food and that sort of thing. Because that's what I'm seeing happening. But so thank you guys for sharing your perspective on that. But
your senior population won't even afford a bike.
Yeah.
Oh
no, that's crazy. They can't.
They're like paycheck to paycheck, and it's getting harder and harder. And I have a lot of patients who are above 65, and we have these deep conversations, and it breaks my heart. It's tough. I have a patient who I literally have to beg her. I'm like, call me. Call me if you even need a light bulb changed.
Wow, yeah.
I don't care. Just call me. What do you need? She's like, oh, behind my stove, I need to kind of sweep back there, but the stove is really hard to pull out. I'm like, call me. I will come do it. Don't make me knock on your door. You know what I mean?
Well, good to know, guys.
But these are some of the things that I'm noticing. They don't have the money to maybe, hire somebody to even come and look at their appliance. Yeah. Right? Average call is $200 just for somebody to show up and tell you, oh, your ice machine sucks. You know what I mean?
I totally think we're speaking the same language here. I always judge a place by how we treat vulnerable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think Edmonton, we're not getting to the point where we're doing such a good job that we used to, right? I mean, we look at what's happening with our children. We touch based on that. We look at what's happening with our homeless, and we look at what's happening with our elderly, right? And so that's part of why I'm running. And I'm obviously, you guys know I'm good with numbers and good with business. And when I start seeing some solutions, I like to solve problems this way. But perspectives are always important to me, especially with such outdoor enthusiasts such as yourselves. So very, very nice to share that with you guys. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Dr. Shipka, do you see a lot of the teenagers or maybe even just preteens? Do you notice a challenge with them sticking to a regimen, whether it's joyful movement, eating better, moving better,
Absolutely.
self-talk even?
Yeah, there's the biggest thing I've seen over the past 30 years is the gravitation away from activities. I still have a few that like your son playing sports or dance in St. Albert, but there's a gravitation where they kind of hit a point where they will retract into themselves. They'll want to be either with their electronics or they'll gravitate into video games. And for me, the worry I have is this with this next generation is without the ability to try activities where they can fail and learn how to cope when things do go sideways. They lose that ability and it creates more anxiety. And with our society, we're seeing a lot more children and adults, under the age of 30 that have that anxiety, and they're going for methods to try to cope with that anxiety, which may not be as healthy as others. So for me, absolutely, I see a lot of that, and we try to encourage them to just get reactivated. So oftentimes when I do exercise programs, I'll say, can you help your mom and dad do this? Can you show them how to do it? Because you can move better because you're younger. You get that? And so we kind of get them involved, and oftentimes we find that once they get involved and they do that, they seem to start to feel better. And so just trying to motivate them to explore things is it's a big part of my practice. What about for yourself?
Yeah, participatory medicine is the way of the future. I mean, if we're not involved in our patients' lives on a different level, not just, come in, let me find the problem and then patch it up or teach you how to reverse it. I want to know what else is going on, because the 17 and 20-year-olds of today, or even the 30-year-olds of today, are going to employ my kids one day.
Absolutely.
So that's a population I want to make sure is in a better mindset and has more kind of wellness paradigms built in to apply in the workspace, because it's going to be a healthier work environment.
Absolutely.
Because my kids will be working for those people.
Absolutely. And not only that, but I'm a little bit more selfish. I'm getting to an age in 20 to 30 years, I might be under the care of them in a senior's residence. So for a lot of us that are a little bit closer down the road than you guys are,
I doubt that,
that's where I'm thinking is that I want them to have the skill set to be able to have a high emotional intelligence, so they're able to identify with their patients or with their parents that they're taking care of, and with people that they're maybe serving in a restaurant or working with colleagues, to be able to create a just culture where we all take care of each other, where we're all trying to think of each other's needs and anticipate that instead of what can I do for myself and how do I benefit myself from this situation. And that's where we've got to kind of encourage that, because we see a gravitation towards, because of COVID and other stresses, that it's more about what I can do for myself instead of what I can do for our society. And if we have diversity in society, business studies have shown we're much more productive, we're much more successful, and we're much better to handle the challenges that come forward. So that's where we've got to encourage that kind of community spirit and community growth, whether it's in your own family, like you have a beautiful, and also with you, the ability to have your children want to engage with you and be with you, because if you're with them when they're young, they'll be with you as you get older. And then also developing those skill sets so that we're able to, as a society, take care of our seniors and our vulnerable so that they get the help they need and we can make it a better place going forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I love that. We're all getting older, that's the thing, and so I have a unique window where I work solely with children, and I'm seeing motivation go down significantly in the last couple of years. I ask kids two questions every time I see them. I ask them, are you having a good day?
Yeah.
And that's just to kind of get their overall state. But somewhere in the exam, or whether I'm drilling on them or filling on them, I do ask, what do you want to be when you're older? And I used to get the most craziest answers. Kids have fantastical minds, and sometimes they want to be a dragon or a firefighter, or, like a purple jelly bean or whatever their minds. But the most common answer that comes up now when I ask a kid what they want to be is, I don't know. Yep. Which is profound, right? And at a time when we've got the teachers, right? They're all on strike right now. They're all outside the legislature. I was there. I'm here and looking for speech pathologists, physical therapists, people that help people thrive and get to the ability, to reach their full potential. And that's a lot of what you guys do. Yeah. I think that's a little bit lacking in society. And we're talking about retirement, and I'm fast forwarding 20 years. Kids are literally our future.
Absolutely.
And so, I know this could be a whole topic in its own right. Maybe we bring you back for another podcast in terms of perspectives on this. But, when I say I'm advocating for our future and our children, I think children are literally our future. And, so hearing things about community and bringing everybody together and giving our kids the ability to thrive is very, very refreshing to hear from you guys as well. So very good. I just wanted to make a comment. It wasn't a question.
Yeah. When it comes to kids, because I'm a father, and it's such a soft spot, and you get weak at the knees when you see the disenfranchised or those with less of a voice or just less exposure even to the resources that we have, right? I volunteered at my kids' bake sale. They're always raising funds. They want to expand and do some stuff. And I get there, and of course, I have my own views on sugary snacks and fatty snacks.
Sugar stack right here. I'm just going to have a cookie.
Would you like a cookie?
Anyway, you see what you did there? Okay. You're against, I'm going to have one right now, but go ahead.
Okay, I didn't say against. I said I don't want it to be the norm. And so after this bake sale, and so even the teachers, you can just tell that they're frustrated with the level of energy some of the kids have. It's not focused. But I'm thinking in my head, what do you expect if this is what you allowed them to eat at lunch? And no kid had less than at least 1 or 2 donuts. Not Timbit, donuts. And then candy, and then a little bit of chips. And then they go back to class, and then they're rambunctious, and the mind is wandering, and then the teacher gets frustrated, and now it creates tension, and it's not conducive to a learning environment. I'm not saying every class has to be a bunch of yoga kids and yoga mats and bamboo pillows. Yeah, but I'm saying it shouldn't be we shouldn't normalize the level of poison that we allow our children to consume.
I have advice.
Okay.
And this is my dad joke of the day, Ramadan, which you bring out in me. When somebody offers you a donut, you say, I do not want a do not. I think that's advice to give everybody. Sorry for interrupting. I had to throw that dad joke in there.
Better your dad joke than mine.
Okay, very good. So
I'm trying to break this barrier with some of the administrative staff is, you're going to get the product of what you put into them. So if you're allowing them to consume this, you're going to see this somewhere. If not now, maybe down the road, a few months when they take that test, right? Because if they're not, if things are going on inside and there's chronic low-grade inflammation, there's maybe a decreased immune response, and then our kids get sick, and then they come home, and now they got the sniffles, and the parents are sick, and they can't go to work. And imagine all this could be minimized by just educating them more and not presenting them with options that are toxic.
That's interesting.
The thing is, I think I'd throw into that as well is the second part, where a lot of kids, because of the economic situation we're in right now, may not have the opportunity to have that kind of meal in the morning, or because of the way that the home life is, where both parents are busy and they're working, they may be gravitating towards whatever's quick to put together for lunch. So I think that's the mindfulness, like you're talking about, of being present with your children. And it's hard when we have the challenges of inflation. We have the economic impact of increased taxes, like you were mentioning before. We've got to come up with a solution where we can try to put money towards these programs, because a lot of times if children are hungry, they're not going to learn.
Absolutely.
And then if they don't get good nutrition, like you said, long term we end up with chronic problems such as diabetes later in life, or other issues.
Right.
Yeah.
And you brought something up about the irony between, I remember we were talking, was it yesterday we were talking? Oh, we talk so much, me and Ray, but about the irony about things that are more processed, being cheaper than actual natural foods, and how
How
that,
can something
how'd
that
go
has
again?
more things in
Yeah.
it be cheaper than something that has nothing else in it but that plant?
And
I
if
don't
that's
know.
not
what I
the
mean?
definition of red tape and corporations and volume.
You would
and-
think the processing
you think the
of
more you
all
put into
those
something, it would
It's
cost you
more
more,
expensive, yeah.
Not looking to
ingredients
pick it
I
up
can't
off the
even
ground.
spell.
Yeah.
I can't even spell those. Like, you know what I mean? And I can't even pronounce them. And I got to go look them up. I got to ask, Google, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Should you be eating something you can't pronounce?
No, you shouldn't. But when you start looking at labels and you just keep running to this wall of what is this? You know what I mean? It looks like a map and and it's written in Aramaic and it's such fine print. I don't know what it is. So it's sad that that's the norm.
Yeah.
And the exception is somebody trying to eat cleaner and he's got to pay 2 to 3 times more. So yeah, I understand the convenience is huge. And the kids, the kids my kids go to school with, maybe some of them come from backgrounds where they can't afford eggs, or maybe organic eggs or free range eggs or just eggs in general, right? So yes, they're turning to the muffin and the juice box,
The fructose, glucose, and corn syrup. If I could do one thing in life, when we were kids, there wasn't really cane sugar. We had beet sugar and we had sugar. Like it wasn't fructose, glucose, corn syrup. It didn't exist in the same capacity. But yeah, if I could change one thing, maybe that's my bias as a pediatric dentist. But amazing that we talk nutrition and how important it is to your health. We talk about being outside and being healthier and getting people out of pain. So I mean, like I said, you guys are both individuals who always make me feel better. We even dropped a song
Appreciate it,
today.
man.
Maybe we should do a music video. You guys want to be the music video for that song?
Before we do that, though, Omar, you're the type of person who brings the best out of people.
Absolutely.
Because when it takes energy to draw energy as well, right? So if you feel like we're in flow state when we're talking, it's because you're bringing it out. And if you weren't receptive to it, like I talk to patients sometimes, 29 minutes we'll talk. And the adjustment might take 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And after 20, 30 years, you know where to push and what to move, and you kind of understand the mechanics of the body and what this person needs. But that 28 minutes prior was all about unlocking something up here, right? And that's the
amazing.
part that I want to do more of, but spread it to the masses, because all that little fine recalibration is just going to improve where they're going in the future.
Well, sir, that might be a segue to something that we've talked about multiple times. And, if Ramadan does this, I mean, you've been talking about doing a course on breath work, which is actually excellent.
Sure.
Yeah, and coaching as well. You've talked about a few courses. So I'll talk to you a little bit about this after the show. But if there's courses that Dr. Ray, again, you save your time for me.
Sure.
But what I'm
if there's
saying
enough
is,
demand, well, let's do a breathwork
let's
session.
do a breath. I've been wanting Dr.
Virtual
Ray to do.
or together or in nature. You know
Very
what
good.
You know what I envision for Edmonton? We get together at Horlock Park or at maybe on Connors Hill or somewhere, and everybody's just tuning in, maybe watching a sunset and just slowing down their breathing and reflecting on possibilities that are just beyond what we can comprehend.
Well, it sounds like a
Amazing.
great course. I'm going to be your first participant when that happens. I'm
I'll
going to
second
include
it.
that on in a second. We've got two.
You got two Buddhas.
I'm going to include the information as a part of this podcast if they want to contact Dr. Ray here for a breathwork course, hopefully coming up.
We're going to let the community tell us what is it you want us to do with you, right? Like I want to share what I've learned, but I want to also listen to where you're at.
I love
and I
it.
want to meet you there, right?
Sweet.
I want to meet
Yeah.
you there,
Yeah.
and I know there's a way out of any hardship. There's always an option. There's always a possibility, right?
That's amazing.
We just can't live in that limiting belief that was pushed on us, whether it's by the environment, by our culture, by our religion, by our parents, right? If it's no longer serving you, let it go. Start doing epic shit. That's your thing.
Why wait?
Well, why wait, man?
Why
Life's a
wait?
journey,
Yeah.
and we always focus on outcomes of things. This is a perspective of mine, but once you get into the moment and you can enjoy the journey, life is more about journey than it is about outcomes. Outcomes, including an election. is not up to you. It's up to Edmontonians if you want to vote for me. But the journey in itself is amazing because you can actually accomplish so much along the way. Do not forget to stop and smell the roses. That old adage is so true, you know?
Absolutely.
So very good. But Dr. Shipka, Dr. Ray, I know we're probably going to be talking for another 3 hours, but that's all the time we have for this show.
Appreciate it.
Please help yourself to a cookie, even though we were talking about fructose, glucose, corn syrup.
I got
they
one.
are cane sugar. Again, always say do not to do nots. So it's time to shine Edmonton. That's our show. It's time to shine Edmonton. Let's shine brighter together. Thank you guys for being on the show. That's
Thank
all
you.
the time we have.
Take care.
Thank
Thanks
you,
so
Omar.
much.
Time has come. The time is now. It's time. It's time to shine.
It's time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. Time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. What? Time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together. Let's all shine bright in all kinds of weather. Time to shine, Edmonton, let's shine together.